If you want to start driving the ball better, listen up, because this one simple thing I'm going to show you in this video that you can see the student here on the left, he's standing up, losing his posture, and he's hitting big hooks and blocks and can't really put the speed into the driver that he knows he's capable of. And I know so many of you are struggling out there with that. You want to be able to hit the ball harder, you can swing harder, but you just can't control it. You block it off the planet, you hit a blice, a big block slice, and it doesn't even feel great on your body, but you can see on the picture on the right that he achieved in this lesson how much better his posture is, how much his spine angle, he's maintained his spine angle, his tush line, all of this done with one simple move. You can see his trail arm isn't stuck back behind him. This is a big common issue for people who block the ball and hit these quick snap hooks. So in this lesson, you're going to learn one simple fix. If you do this move, you'll be able to get into the same posture and positions that you see this student, and it will help you get your path with, especially with the driver. This is so important with the driver, that you're going to be able to get your path closer to square, as close as you want it to be, even being able to swing, to be able to hit a controlled pull fade if that's the shot you're looking for. But for those of you who really struggle with losing your posture, not getting this hip out of the way, and not understanding what to do, this video is going to be a game changer for you.
Casey.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, buddy. Sorry, I was a few minutes late. I got lessons nonstop, 10 in a row this morning. So I'm running a couple minutes behind. I apologize.
No worries, man. How have you been?
I've been good, super busy, but more importantly, how have you been? We did some good work on your swing last time. Where are we now?
Yeah, man. I just wanted to tell you, first of all, seriously, thank you so much for that. That transformed the way I've been playing. I was
awesome.
A weak little slappy cut, and I've been playing a little push draw now. And even on the misses, I feel like I can gather it in, and it's not just crazy. But that was really good. So thank you for that, first of all.
Awesome. Yeah. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah. This is the first time I feel I'm getting I want you to just kind of tweak some stuff. You know what I mean? Not I don't have to have everything overhauled, just kind of.
That's my favorite. That's what I look forward to.
Yeah, man. So thank you for that. But I just wanted to say, I've been hitting my irons great, wedges great. And the one thing I really wanted to work on is just my driver, because I usually like to try to go after my driver a little bit, and I tend to hit it when I do. And I wanted to just see how straight and how far I could get my driver this lesson. That was just my goal, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, it's my favorite club in the bag, man.
Yeah,
my specialty.
See you crank out those those mid 120s drives. I'm like, shoot, man. If you can try it too, I want to give it a rip.
It's funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine. My swing speed's pretty much stayed the same since I was in college.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm 44 now, but I had a bad injury. I broke my neck and nerve damage and broke my hand, all kinds of bad stuff. And so my body's been really messed up. But so during that time, that was 10 years ago when I did that, my swing speed dropped to 100 because I could barely move and lost 30 pounds, whatever. But once I got healthy again, my swing speed came back pretty easily. But my goal has always been, now as I've gotten older, things that you think about as you get older, the things I didn't think about 20 years ago, I'm how long can I maintain this speed? Because for me, those videos I posted on YouTube or on the side of, me swinging in the mid 120s, those are I feel like I'm swinging not fast at all for me. It's I can ramp it up, but that's my stock warm up swing.
Wow.
But that's always been my goal, is I want to feel how easy I can swing, but how hard can I hit it? Right. That to me. But how long can I do that? Can I swing like this into my 60s?
Right. If you do something like DeChambeau, that's I love what he's doing, but that probably isn't going to be a longevity thing, his body and all that.
It's for sure not going to happen. I love watching it, but you can't swing like that when he's not going to swing like that when he's my age. It's just it's pretty unlikely. But I can swing this way at my age with scoliosis and a million other things, and I want to see how long I can maintain, carrying the ball at 320 in the air. I think that's kind of the point of the game. It's a game for a lifetime, So yeah, you want to talk driver? This is my jam.
Sweet. Yeah, let's do it, man. So I'm usually, if I hit a stock driver, I'm 110 usually, which I don't like. But if I try to crank it, I can get to 115-ish, but that's when I get those like those hooks start coming in pretty, like I can't really ramp it up that fast because I hit a big hook with it or a big push and stuff like that. So I just kind of want to see if we could straighten it out. And if possible, I just want to, you're very inspirational with your drives because I don't mean this bad at all, but I mean, you said you're like 5'9" too, like one or something. I'm like the same. So I'm like, shoot, man, I want to try to do that too,
For sure, man. It's so fun. It's fun crushing the ball. It is.
Yeah. Yes. Is that all right with you?
Absolutely. Well, let me see you swing with the driver and let's see what's going on, man.
All right. Can you see from there okay?
If you could tilt the camera down, it'd be a little better because then I could see the path of the club a little better. Yep. Money.
All right. Is this okay?
Yep. Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Okay, I see that. And then face on.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, this we can definitely get you a lot more speed.
Sweet.
So what's going on here? You basically, I see this pretty commonly that somebody who's young and fit and athletic and strong can make the club go fast. Even if your swing mechanics aren't perfect, like you can still like swing with some pace to it, but you kind of run into a wall, and that wall happens from sequencing and not using the right muscles. It's basically about it. So let me just use this as I'm going to put my mouse cursor right here on your butt, and then we're going to step through here, and you'll see as you go back, you load up that left side pretty well. And then watch as you come down. So now your pelvis is moving into the ball, into the ball, into the ball. And now you're almost vertical, right? Mm-hmm. So your left hip or your right hip, your lead hip has not moved out of the way. And this is why you're losing your posture. This is where all your hooks are coming from, is because your spine angle. I'll demonstrate all this stuff in a second, but you'll see that your right leg, watch your right knee here. So if you watch just your lead leg, it should already, during this phase of the swing, this puppy needs to be going back out of the way a lot sooner, but it doesn't really have time. So the arms bring the club down, the left hip pushes a little too hard, too soon, and the right hip hasn't gotten out of the way, and that will always change your posture. And when you change your posture, you come from the inside. Now you're afraid to swing hard because you're going to hook it, because the harder you swing without getting that lead hip out of the way, the more you lose your posture, the more you come from the inside. And so it becomes this perpetuating cycle. Like, yeah, you can swing a lot faster, but you can't control the ball. So you start toning it down without fixing the problem, right?
Totally true.
So here we got a bit of arm swing here. So you kind of quit on your turn. Right in there, you're turning a little flat and the arms kind of take over. So right here, if you just watch your rib cage, it doesn't really move. That's all arm swing for probably 6, 7, 8 frames, right? Mm-hmm. And then as you come down, that right hip, you move laterally, but you don't ever move rotationally. So when you're out, when that right hip isn't getting back around and your arms are firing hard, we're capped. So let me show you, with demonstrating it, what all this stuff means. So if I go to the top of my swing and I start to fire my arms and I push hard off my trail leg, I'll get in the old puppy dog humping the fire hydrant thing, right? So my right hip moves into the ball because the left hip is blocking it, or lead hip is blocking it, right? So if I try to, now you can use the trail leg to push to help speed up this hip turn, but you can't do that if this left hip isn't rotating. If the left hip is stationary and you push off the right, if the lead hip is stationary and you push off the trail leg, where's your pelvis going to go?
Straight in the ball.
it's the only place it can go physically, right? I block it with the lead hip and I push off the trail hip. Where's my spine going? Upright, right? Now you'll have a driver that's already got your spine angle more upright because it's a longer shaft, flatter lie. And then as you swing back and you get loaded up and then you drive in here, well, of course your spine has to stand up. This is where the hooks are coming from. It's that simple, right? So if you understand that your spine angle is a big determinant of swing plane and path, right? If I stand like this, I really want to swing horizontal. If I was like this, I want to swing with a vertical swing plane. And obviously with golf, we're somewhere in the middle, right? And that's the trick to it. But when you change that spine angle dynamically during part of the swing, well, now all bets are off, right? You have to get this lead hip out of the way. It's that simple. As soon as that lead hip gets out of the way by going back behind you, now what happens to my spine angle, right? I maintained it, or if anything, I might even increase it depending on how much I get this left hip back behind me, right? So now my path goes from this to this. You see the difference?
Yeah.
And then I can use this trail leg to help speed up this motion to get my hips even more open faster. So, when I'm hitting the driver, I'll use my right leg to help speed up this left side a little bit. But I don't do that by blocking it with the lead hip. The lead hip's always getting out of the way first, and then I just speed them up. So you're doing the trail side push without the lead side pull. You need the lead side to get out of the way. And that's why you're getting away with it with your irons, especially the shorter irons, because you inherently have a steeper swing plane, right? And you're not going to try to hit them as hard. So you're not going to lose your posture as much.
Okay.
So all we need to do is during the backswing, prioritize getting this lead hip out of the way. And if that happens, then the rest of the stuff will fall into place a lot easier. But if this doesn't stop blocking the trail hip from clearing, then you'll keep standing up out of your posture. So all I want you to do during the backswing for right now is think about during the backswing, forget about everything else going on back here because your brain needs to focus right here on the lead hip. What would you need to do in the backswing? What would you need to feel in the backswing to load this up to make it easier to get it out of the way? Because that's the only thing really missing, right? So that's what you're going to focus on is during the backswing. I know that my number one job in life as a golfer right now is to get this lead hip rotated out of the way and back behind me and turning. And if I do that, if I know I need to do that, then what I do in the backswing directly impacts that. I don't want to go to the top of my swing and feel all of this weight, might feel this trail leg really loaded up and nothing over here, because then I can't do anything with it. I got to all of a sudden try and re-engage those muscles. That's why you saw like the old school guys who like Nicklaus and Weisskopf, who had these big hip turns and they lifted the heel off the ground, but their first move was to smash that puppy in the ground and reactivate that lead hip and get it the heck out of the way, right? So that's what you need to focus on is during the backswing, wake this thing up so that you're aware that it needs to get back rotating in a circle around and away.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So let's do a couple practice swings like that.
Do you want to do it with the club?
We're going to do it with both, but probably without the club for just a second. Yeah, and just tilt the camera down a bit.
Gotcha.
And I just want you to, I'm not going to say anything. I want you to focus on feeling your right hip, your lead hip. Focus on what you need to do to get it out of the way in the downswing. So even if you made like a little half, like little half swing for a moment, just enough to you start to feel like, okay, I need to just get my hip out of the way on this swing. What do I need to do?
So I need to like that?
Yes and no. Here's the catch to what you just did. And you showed me what most people, the way that they drill the swing, right? Which is not incorrect, but it's not exactly correct. You went here. Now, what did I show you there?
Like a closed hip slide.
Well, a little bit, but there was just a lot of lateral movement, right? there's not enough time in the golf swing to make that big of a lateral movement, right? The guys that you see who do make big lateral movements, like Fred Couples, for example, is somebody who has a lot of lateral movement and a lot of rotation. So what does he do to buy himself time to get his hips out of the way? He has this massively long, lethargic kind of swing, right? So he has time to make that huge lateral shift. But we don't need to add all that lateral movement in the swing. And plus, from my research on the force plate stuff, that was one of the things I ended up finding the most pain in my body, was when I would have a lot of lateral movement, because it starts to shift your pelvis. It moves your centers, right? Like if you thought about the center of your body up here, like your sternum, and then like your sacrum down here, obviously, and I start getting these things out of alignment, and then I add rotation, it starts becoming more and more painful the more you do that stuff, especially the faster you do it, right? You can add pace to it. So we don't want a crap ton of lateral movement. We want to be more rotational. So the wider your stance is, the more lateral movement is going to be necessitated in your swing. The higher your hands are in your backswing, the more that you're going to tend to have lateral movement, because that's a shallowing move. It helps shallow out your swing plane. Your swing path is already too shallow. Your plane is too shallow, right? Because you're coming too far from the inside. So why would you ever want to add more shallowing moves to your golf swing?
Right.
Doesn't make any sense, right? You have a problem of a path that's too far from the inside, and then you add a lot of lateral movement to it. Well, now you just exacerbated the problem. So what I want you to think about is rotational, moving rotationally. Don't make this big lateral shift. Think about, you obviously, you need to get 90% of your pressure over on this lead side, right? But think about doing that by unweighting the trail side, not by shifting and pushing and driving laterally, right? If I do this right now, I'm 50-50, right? Now, here's all it takes for me to go from 50% to 100%. Not this big move, right? I just lifted my foot up. There's hardly any lateral movement there at all. And now 100% of my pressure's on the lead side, and I can pivot that left hip out of the way.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So I need to go from here.
So you're still kind of pushing into that lead hip, right? And that's just, it's normal for you, right? And this is why we're going through this exercise. I want you to, we're not going to use this leg for a moment, the trail leg. And I want you to just put 100% of your weight on your lead leg, put the trail leg just up on the toe, like virtually no pressure on it. And now you can only move from this hip. There you go. Start feeling rotation. Get that left hip to start moving back towards the garage door, or excuse me, your trail hip, your right hip, back behind you towards the garage door. And you'll see that there you go. How far?
I do feel more like upright too, not like I'm trying to do that.
Right? That axis tilt that you just showed me, secondary axis tilt, that's a shallowing move, right? You already have too much shallowness in your swing. So you are going to feel a bit more upright.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Huh. Okay.
So now you can see that 100% of your weight's on that lead hip, and you can move it back and forth out of the way. Let this foot and this hip just kind of pivot and get moved around. Don't try to keep it anchored down. Just keep it nice and light. And then you can see how you could add some speed to it from the trail leg to help do it a little quicker.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Like that?
We're getting there. So now if that's your priority, to move this lead hip out of the way and not be making this big lateral move and then this big shove off of this, because again, if your hip doesn't rotate out of the way and you just move laterally, your spine's going to tend to tilt back a lot, which again is going to shallow out your path too much. And then you're going to hit these hooks again. So instead of thinking that, you're just going to start feeling much more rotational, that you're trying to get this lead hip back behind you, and try to get your arms now to swing, but more get swung by your lead hip, and your arms are a little bit more chilled out.
Okay.
Better. Good. So now you're much taller at impact. Instead of being way back like this, you're much more on top of the ball. And that's going to bring your path closer to zeroing it out. I don't know what your path is right now, but you know, if you're hitting pretty severe hits, probably 5 or 6 degrees into out, or perhaps worse, you know. So now grab the club and let's try to get that same feeling and just watch how the club works through the hitting area.
Okay.
You know, in terms of how straight it is compared to what it was before.
Okay. So just focus on that.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go. You'll see that your arms have got to wait just enough time to get that lead hip out of the way.
Right.
That's better. Good. Can you do that down the line for just a second? I want to see something. All right, let's just take a quick look at that.
Okay.
How's that feel? Bizarre?
It feels a lot better. It feels more like zeroed out, kind of. Even though I'm not really trying to do that.
Yeah, you shouldn't be trying to zero out your path. That's typically going to be done with your arms and hands if you're trying to do it that way. This should happen as a result, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going back looks really great. Now, if we look at where you're, so now earlier it was hard to see because you were wearing black behind a black truck, but it was hard to see, but you were losing your tush line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now watch. So I put my mouse cursor about where your lead hip is at address. Now your hip is 1.5 inches, 2 inches further back behind where it started at address. That's the clamshell drill video I put on the site, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before, you weren't doing that. Before, your lead hip was blocking. We couldn't really see it that much, and it was causing you to stand up. Now you're maintaining your spine angle more, which is why you feel like your path is more zeroed out. And so now you can see as you come down, the club comes down. This is obviously just a short little swing, but it's coming down much steeper. Obviously, we don't want to be steep with the driver, but much steeper. It's going down through the forearm, down through the hands. And then as you come through, it's pretty zeroed out and going to start to work more.
I see. Huh.
Good. Yeah, looks really good.
Does that look
Yeah, I captured those. All right, so I'll just put got a stupid circle. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Golden there.
I feel like that's a lot easier to repeat over again too, because my pelvis isn't going right in the ball. I can kind of control like club face a little better.
Well, that's just it, right? Like when your body starts moving correctly, your arms and hands have to do way less compensations, right? Like when you're coming from the inside too far, then your arms and hands are busy, right? Because you're always trying to time, like, okay, I just gave a lesson to a guy just a minute ago who he's with his driver, he was about 5.5 degrees into out. And so he's happy hitting this big draw, but like 5.5 degrees is massive, you know? Yeah. Like maybe you can get away with a few degrees, but then you got to start really adjusting your setup and alignment stuff. But really we want it closer. It doesn't have to be zero, but we want it closer so that we're just trying to do less. We're trying to compensate less. But when you're 5 or 6 degrees into out, then your hands, you have to get that club face closed in relationship to that path and start trying to time a draw is what it comes down to. You know, how fast you are with your hands and
how much you come from the inside and all that stuff. It's always dynamic, it's changing. And when it's changing that severe, a nice subtle draw can turn into a massive block or a massive slice or a massive snap hook really quick, right? And all of a sudden, just one day where your timing's just a tiny bit off, even though you're still doing the exact same thing. As you get your path closer and closer to zeroed out, where your body is doing more to get your body in the right positions, the right angles, then your arms and do less, then your timing dependency just becomes less, right? So you start becoming more consistent on a day in and day out basis because you're just not relying on your hand-eye coordination, right? So that's why these big structures, what your hips are doing and your rib cage is doing and those types of things, really your pelvis is paramount. When your pelvis is doing the right things, then all of a sudden golf just becomes a lot simpler because you're just not trying to time everything.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
So that's all I would tell you to focus on for right now is if you just keep prioritizing getting this hip out of the way, and then as you keep doing that, as long as you keep doing that, you can start feeling more comfortable swinging more aggressive, right? But swinging more aggressive for you doesn't mean pushing harder off the trail side right now. We already know that's in there. And not swinging your arms hard from the top, that's in there, right? When you're going to swing faster right now, you've got to get this lead hip to move faster to keep up with everything, right? Because right now it's the sluggish kid on the bus, right? We got to wake that one up and get him to participate. And then once this starts moving out of the way quicker, then you'll find that, gosh, if I keep my arms softer and I don't have tension in my arms and shoulders, I can move my hip quicker. That's kind of a conundrum of the swing. Like typically when we want to hit the ball harder, we swing harder and tighter with our arms and shoulders, right? We create tension there. The reality is we want our arms and hands to be softer because they can move faster when the muscles are soft.
Right.
But that means that something else has to pick up the slack, which is your pelvis. Your pelvis has to move faster to get it out of the way, but and to move faster is not putting more muscular effort into it. It's moving quicker. It's lighter, right? Like this is golf, not I'm going to do a deadlift, right? Like that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to be, how quick can I move? How fast can I get this hip out of the way?
Yeah.
Do that. Then my arms get whipped through for me.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Because like when I was watching your videos, like you're saying on your driver and stuff like that, it looks like you're just seriously like doing like a little practice swing or something. But you can see your hands get whipped through there. I'm like, wow.
That's it, right? I don't want any speed until way down here, right? So that's why somebody said I look like I swing like an LPGA player, which I guess is a compliment. So just work on this, get this lead hip out of the way, and you're on, and then let me know how it works out.
Okay, sweet. I'll do that, man. Thank you. I might come back in a few months or something for another checkup. That's okay.
I'd love to see it.
Awesome. I appreciate your time, man.
You bet, buddy. Talk to you soon.
See you, man.